Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a guide for Naples for EU4 1.33 France. So Naples is a nation located in southern Italy, a very powerful nation, probably the second most powerful nation in Italy after Venice, and we do start off as a junior partner of Aragon, but no need to worry about that. We're not going to be losing stability and we're not going to be losing admin points on declaring an independence war, because in a few years, once Aragon's initial ruler Alphonse here dies, we're going to get an event and Aragon is going to choose to let us go, and we're not going to be a junior partner under them anymore. 99% of the time Aragon does choose to let us go, but you could be unlucky, and in that 1% where Aragon keeps you, in that case just restart. It's only been a few years. Naples is one of the best nations for forming Italy in my opinion, although other nations such as Milan, Venice, and Florence are more popular, probably due to the fact that we don't start off with any province needed to form Italy. But don't worry about that, because we're going to be gobbling all of them up and we're going to be forming Italy. But first, we're also going to be forming the nation of two Sicilies. Naples also has super nice national ideas. We start off with plus 10% trade efficiency and institution spread, plus 20% manpower as a finisher, goods produced plus 10, tech discount minus 5%, dev discount minus 10%, and morale plus 10%. So overall, it's a super strong nation for playing tall as well. And before we begin, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like. It really helps out a lot. And if you want to see more guides or more EU4 videos in general, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Let's take a look at what we need to do as Naples. Alright, here we are as Naples, and like I said, for the first couple of years until Aragon lets us go, we're gonna be chilling for a bit, so let's get our nation in order and prepare for our first wars after independence. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our estates and summon the Diet. You can pick whichever agenda is best for you. Then we're gonna give the clergy religious state and clerical advisory council along with religious diplomats. We're gonna give the nobility primacy of the nobility, increased levies, and aristocratic councilors, and we're gonna give the burghers land of commerce, patronage of the arts, commercial advisory board, and indebted to the burghers. Then we're gonna seize land. Now we can take a look at our force limit. It is 14 here, so we can get 4 more regiments. We don't have any professionalism, so we can't slacken, and the free company is too big to hire for now, so we aren't gonna be hiring them at all, at least in the early game. So just hire 4 more infantry regiments. Next, we're gonna take these 2 light ships here and tell them to protect trade in Genoa and go home during war. And we're also gonna start building 6 more galleys. And there we go, 4 infantry regiments and 6 galleys have started construction. At this point, you can turn off your fort in Naples to save some money, and you can lower army maintenance as well. We do have enough money to hire 3 advisors right at the start. So get a tax, production efficiency, or inflation reduction level 1 admin advisor. I do have a production efficiency guy. Get a diplo rep or improve relations level 1 diplo advisor. I do have a diplo rep guy. And get a morale or a discipline mill advisor. I don't have any of them, so I'm just gonna get this land maintenance guy, although I might swap to this guy later. And that's our initial setup done. Now it's time to improve relations with nations that can be our potential future allies. And as an Italian nation, we have the ability to ally both Austria and France, and even join the HRE right at the start, so we won't have any problems declaring on these guys later on. So we're immediately gonna start improving relations with Castile, France, and Austria. Once you max out relations with these guys, or one of them, you should start improving with the Pope as well. But now it's time to sit back, relax, and wait for a couple of years until Alphonse here dies. Alternatively, if you raise army maintenance, you still won't be losing money. So it's up to you whether you'll hire a general and drill with this army to get some professionalism, or lower army maintenance all the way to get some money. I'm gonna be doing this. You may notice that some nations are willing to support your independence. There's no need to do this. Even if you get them to support you, they won't be allied to you after Aragon lets you go. At this point, you can also take this fleet here, detach the 10 galleys, and tell them to hunt pirates in the Genoa trade node. And since we're not conquering land right at the start, and our first war is probably gonna be versus Aragon, where we're gonna retake our cores, or with some of these guys up here, and we're gonna take very few provinces, you can totally stab up here right at the start to gain some prosperity. Of course, you might want to do this before you give out the advisor privileges, since that increases stability cost. And there we go. In my case, Alphonse here did just die, and he does die pretty early. It's super common. The latest I've seen this happen is by around 1455, but you should get it way earlier. And now that Joan here is on the throne, soon we'll get the event where Aragon just lets us go. And this is the event right here, the Neapolitan succession, where Naples will become independent, as we can see right here. So Aragon have already let us go, but we do have 2 options right here for ourselves. The first is Naples refuses to submit, the Pope Pope is gonna get that event, and basically they're not gonna like us a whole lot. And then the second one is we lose 20 legitimacy and 100 ducats, but the Pope isn't angry at us. I do recommend choosing this second option because we do sort of need to link up with the Pope for one of our missions and stuff, and it's nice to be allied to them in the early game. So choose the second option. His Holiness shall receive what he is due. And boom, just like that, our personal union with Aragon is dissolved and we're an independent nation. By this point, by improving relations with these guys, you should be able to ally some of them. And let's see, in my case, I can ally France. What about Castile? I probably won't be able to ally Castile. And what about Austria? I will be able to ally Austria if I improve a bit more. So the first thing I actually want to do is ally Austria, and that's the same thing that you want to do as well. 99% of the time you will be able to do it. For the following reason, we're going to want to join the HRE. So don't ally France before Austria. Do Austria and then France. So I'm just going to wait a little bit more. At this point, since we're independent, we can do a few more things. As we can see, our force limit has increased right here along with our naval force limit. So I do recommend building up 3 more light ships just like that and 2 more infantry regiments. At this point, you can also recruit a general. Boom, there we go. And we can set some rivals. I do recommend rivaling Aragon and then some Italian nations like Genoa here in my case, and there's no other Italian nation, so I'll just rival Tunis. Tunis is a pretty good rival as well. Once you build up to force limit, you will be able to take the mission Independent Naples, where we gain legitimacy, so that's fixed right away, and we also gain a permaclaim on the entire area of Tuscany. And only a few days have passed, and I can already ally Austria, and their opinion of us is greatly increased, and at this point, we can join the HRE. This is something you should do. The main reason we're joining the HRE is not to be protected by stronger nations, but so we can declare on these nations without also fighting Austria. So now we're totally good to declare on Siena, Florence, or Lucca, and you'll be deciding on which one of these guys to declare. We just need to get a few more allies in order, like France and stuff like that. And like I said, if you can ally the Pope, you should, and you should be able to do it easily. Since you will be downgraded to a duchy when you enter the HRE, you will lose a diplomat, but it's no big deal. I also recommend allying a nation in northern Italy, preferably the nation of Milan. Although you could also get someone like Savoy, Venice, or Genoa, since we're not going to be fighting those guys immediately. Our first targets are going to be the guys in Tuscany, and then in Emilia-Romagna and stuff like that. At this point, I've allied these 3 nations, and I can also link up with France right here. Now, if you ally France when they're at war with England, they will probably call you in, but it's totally fine. You can totally join that war. And now, once you have your alliances in order, and in my opinion, this is the ideal alliance scenario, you can start currying favors with your allies, mainly the nations in Italy, which are probably the Pope and Milan, or another nation in northern Italy. So I'm going to start currying with the Pope here, and then with Milan as well. And there we go, France is calling me in, no big deal, I will accept that. And once a little bit of time has passed and you've curried favors with your Italian allies, it is time for our first war. And it's gonna be versus one of 4 nations: Lucca, Florence, Siena, or Aragon, depending on which nation is the easiest to fight in your opinion or in your situation. And in my case here, even though Castile wouldn't defend Aragon, I still don't think I'd be able to do it by myself since no allies will join me. Aragon is the best nation to fight first, preferably before Castile gets a PU over them. But if you can't do it, don't worry about it. You're just going to be doing it later when you grow more powerful. So let's see here. Siena is actually allied to Milan, so I won't be doing that. And what about Florence? Lucca won't defend them. That's awesome. The Pope and Milan will help me out. And what about Lucca? Yeah, Florence is the easiest nation to fight in my case. So one of these 4 guys that I just mentioned. Of course, you are going to want to set these provinces as provinces of interest before the war starts, and you're simply going to declare on whichever nation is the weakest. I'm going to declare for Pisa right here. With Florence, you can realistically only take 1 province, and that is going to be the province of Pisa, of course. So let's call on Milan and the Pope as well and go to war. Of course, when you do start your war, you are going to want to hire an admiral for your fleet, and you're going to want to go and blockade everyone. If you're lucky, you might even spawn the Renaissance. It didn't happen in my case. In my case, it spawned in Rome. Either way, you're going to get it super quick. During your initial war, you're going to want to curry favors with your bigger allies. I'm currying with France and Austria. If in a war versus one of the nations in Tuscany, you're fighting another nation in Tuscany, for example, if I was fighting Lucca or Siena right here, I would just white peace them. However, with their other allies, you can take war reps and stuff like that from them, or even humiliate them on the side. But there we go, my first war is done here, of course that's with Florence, and if you're fighting Siena, you're gonna full annex them. And in fact, their alliance with Milan has ended, so that's great for me. If you're fighting Lucca, you're also gonna full annex them, and if you're fighting Florence, you're only gonna take the province of Pisa from them. You can also take all their money. If they're your rival, you can humiliate them and stuff like that, and I'll also get war reps as well. So just Pisa from Florence, full annex Siena and Lucca. And of course, I will tell you what to do if you're fighting Aragon in your first war too. If you've allied the Pope, which you should have, and when you get 2 cardinals, which I do have, I just gained 1 more in Pisa, you will be able to take the mission Roman Relations, where you gain 50 papal influence. That's awesome. And for your first papal thingy right here, I recommend getting the Improved Relations and Legitimacy one, since we do need legitimacy and improved relations quite a lot. The improved relations, of course, for lowering aggressive expansion over here in Italy. And once your first war with these guys over here has ended, your next war is gonna be once again versus whoever is weakest in Tuscany or with Aragon. And let's see, with Aragon right here, Castile still won't defend them, but I still don't have anyone to help me out, so this is not gonna be my war versus them just yet. But this is a perfect time for me to declare versus Siena right here, because they did lose their alliance with Milan. So I'm simply gonna declare on Siena for the conquest of Siena. And we're just gonna keep chopping down Tuscany very slowly. Of course, it's not uncommon for some of these guys up here to ally Austria. It does happen in some games, and if it does happen, it just is what it is, and you're gonna have to work around it by fighting their allies, making them break their alliance with Austria and stuff like that. In my case, Austria has allied Ferrara right here. Of course, when you do get enough money to start building a few buildings, you should start off with construction of a marketplace, of course first in Naples, but if you have Palermo there too, and in Lucca or Pisa, whichever one you've gotten up here already. After you've gotten Tech 4 in every category, you might want to activate the Encourage Development State Edict in Campania and Dev Naples up to 30. And for your Tier 2 government reform, you should of course take Strength and Noble Privileges. And now that I've defeated Siena, let's see the damage. 29 AE, no risk of a coalition, so we can totally full annex them as well. Once you've taken 2 provinces over in Tuscany, you will see that aggressive expansion will be quite high with the Italian nations. If we get 1 more province, either Lucca or another one from Florence, a coalition will form. So now it's time to chill a bit and check if you can do something with Aragon. In my case, still no one will help me out, and even Castile will defend them now, so that's pretty unfortunate. Sometimes they ally each other, but Aragon can get other strong allies like France and Austria, or even Hungary. So it's not going to be super easy fighting them right at the start, but if you can, you should take advantage of that. At this point, I'm improving relations with outraged countries. Of course, right at the start, Florence can get excommunicated. In my case, they are excommunicated right now. So if that does happen at the start, of course, you're going to use this CB right here instead of the regular conquest one. And in that case, if you're fighting an excommunicated Florence, you may be able to take 2 provinces at the start instead of just 1, because the aggressive expansion, as we can see, it is quite a bit lower. At this point, I've also allied Venice in the hopes that maybe they'll help me out versus Aragon. Once you've gained a foothold in Tuscany, you can also start spying on Genoa. In my case here, Castile did go with a local noble, and they didn't choose to get Aragon as a junior partner, but I don't think this is gonna happen very often in your guys' games, so obviously if this does happen, it's gonna be a lot easier fighting Aragon. But for the purposes of this guide, I'm just gonna Alt F4 right here and hope that Castile chooses to get Aragon as a junior partner so it can be more relevant for you guys. Now, in 1461, when the Shadow Kingdom event fires, you can choose to stay or leave the HRE. But first, you're gonna want to check who else in Italy stayed. As we can see here in my case, Ferrara did stay because they are allied to Austria, which means I want to stay as well. And of course, if you're not allied to Austria, you're gonna have to leave either way because you're gonna get big penalties. But choose to stay in the empire if you need to conquer nations that are still in the empire in Italy. Otherwise, it's totally up to you, but I am gonna stay. Of course, once most of these other guys leave the HRE in Italy, AE will be a lot lower. So by this point, it might be time for your 3rd war versus one of the Tuscan guys. In my case, Florence and Lucca are left. And there we go, I did just declare a war versus Lucca right here, and I called in the Pope, Milan, and France to make this war a little easier and to not let it drag out for too long. And once you get Admin Tech 5, it will be time to take your first idea group, and for your first idea group as Naples, Naples, I do recommend quantity ideas. We will need big armies to fight the big guys later, even though we don't need them right now in Italy, and our economy is already super nice, and it will only grow bigger once we conquer more of northern Italy, so it won't be a problem to support large armies at all. So quantity for your first idea group. For your naval doctrine, when playing in Italy, you can pick pretty much whatever you want. Either free horsemen for galley combat, this one for ship trade power, or this one for chance to capture enemy ships. I do think these two are slightly better than this one right here, so it's totally up to you, and if you're rich enough, you can even swap between them. But for now, in the early game, I do recommend free horsemen for galley combat ability. And Ferrara is in this war too, and I am gonna make them end their alliance with Austria. And there we go, this war is done. I white-pieced Genoa and Florence because I want to fight them soon. I made Ferrara break their alliance with Austria, and I took money and war reps from Savoy. And of course, I will be full annexing Lucca. And by the time your third war with the Tuscan nations is done, 99% of the time you will also have these 3 provinces right here. And then you will be able to take this mission right here, which gives us perma claims on Marche Abruzzo and Emilia Romagna. I've also been spying on Genoa in the meantime and building claims over here. Of course, in between all of these wars, you're gonna want to check and see if you can declare on Aragon at any point. And as you guys saw, I did reload in hopes that the Iberian wedding will happen and they become junior partners, but it still hasn't happened yet. Either way, I'm pretty much gonna fight the same guys even without the wedding, since they are allied with Castile. So if you can declare on Aragon at any point in time, do it. None of my 5 allies would help me out, which is super unlucky, but it is what it is. Of course, if you're also in a situation like this where your allies wouldn't help you out, you can try and using favors to reduce opinion of another nation. I am gonna make France right here reduce their opinion of Aragon by 100. So let's see if maybe that will help them help me. And no, still no. No, I did just take new burger loans, and by the way, I'm helping out Austria in this Bosnian war, and when you do get your new burger loans, I do suggest building a few churches so you can get this mission done. As you can see, it requires us to have 5 churches. I already have 2, the ones I conquered from Lucca and Siena, so I will be building 3 more in Naples and generally in other poorer provinces that give you the most cash. So what about Pisa and Abruzzi? Why not? Now, if by this point you have taken the provinces that you have cores on over here from Aragon, you should also be spying on Tunis and getting some claims on them over here. Of course, if I had those provinces, that's what I would be doing, but as you guys can see, I'm a bit unlucky, so do it in your case. Once a little bit of time has passed, it's time to continue your conquests in Italy, or maybe even versus Tunis, depending on your situation down here, but you can totally continue to finish conquering Tuscany, start pushing into Emilia-Romagna over here, or you can even fight Genoa with the claims you've already built up on them. In my case, I'm gonna declare on Bologna right here, since they don't have any allies and they've taken these 2 provinces from Florence, which I want. So I am gonna declare for Florence right here. Once you build or own 5 churches, you will be able to take this mission right here, and you'll get this event where you can gain prestige and gov reform progress, and prestige decay and advisor discounts, or legitimacy, gov reform progress, cost of reducing war exhaustion, and idea discount. I do recommend choosing an age of culture. And now that I've beaten up Bologna a bit, it is time to peace out. No need for me to siege them down fully, since I can only take 1 province, and I am gonna take the province of Florence in this war. I'm also gonna get all their money and war reps. And you guys know, chipping away at northern Italy is gonna go pretty slowly. We don't want to risk coalitions, we don't want to upset people, so it's pretty much 1 by 1 province. You can also totally upgrade centers of trade. I'm gonna upgrade Pisa right now. For your tier 3 government reform, you should choose centralized bureaucracy. And finally, after so much time, one of my boys will finally help me out versus Aragon. Now, this is a pretty good scenario right here, since Aragon is fighting the Ottomans, who declared on Albania. They're allied, by the way, that's why they're fighting each other, and France will finally help me out. Now, Aragon isn't allied to Castile anymore for some reason. Maybe Castile became domineering or something, but they did ally Portugal instead, which is pretty much the same. So I will be declaring a reconquest for Messina right here and calling in France, the nation that will finally help me out, even though I'm already helping out Austria versus Bohemia and in the classic Burgundy versus Liège war. But this is an opportunity I can't let go to waste, even though the Ottomans are already sieging Messina. So it's time to declare on Aragon. Like I said, ideally Aragon would be one of the first nations you fight before the Iberian wedding happens, and in my case, even though I reloaded to get the right choice, it still hasn't fired. But yeah, once you declare on Aragon, put your ships in the Strait of Messina and simply cross onto Messina right here, siege down Sicily. After that, you can try and move to Sardinia, and hopefully your allies will take them from the north, and then you can move in there later as well. And now this war is pretty much done. I've almost 100%ed Aragon, and honestly, it was a pretty difficult war. It was pretty annoying piecing Portugal out, and it was pretty annoying getting past all of these mountain forts up here in the north. It will be a difficult war, but you, along with one of, if not all of, Austria, France, or Castile, so you only need one of those guys to help you out to win. This is a very doable war. So of course, in your first war with Aragon, here's what you're gonna take. Obviously, you're gonna retake all your cores back in the south in both of the Sicilian areas. I do also recommend taking Sardinia too, and I recommend taking one province up here in Catalonia, whichever one you want, pretty much whichever one is the cheapest. I'm gonna take Tarragona right here, and I recommend taking another province down here in the south in the area of Valencia. I'm gonna take this one right here. So that's your first war with Aragon done. Of course, if you don't feel like you can 100% them, just roll everything back and take as much as you can going from here to here. So I'm gonna do this right here in my case. And that's our first war with Aragon done. Like I said, it's okay to not have these things over here. And once again, the earlier you do it, the better. But once the war with Aragon is done and once you've retaken your cores in Sicily, you will be able to take this mission right here, which gives us prestige and claims over here in Greece. And don't core these provinces over here. We're going to be releasing two nations over here that we can use their cores for reconquest. The nations of Valencia and Catalonia. And as we can see, Valencia has cores down here and Catalonia has cores up here. And then of course you can core the rest of the stuff in Sardinia. You may have done this way earlier, or you might be doing it a bit later. It doesn't matter when you do it, it's just how you do it. And like I said earlier, at this point, now that I have this right here, I am gonna spy on Tunis. By the way, right now I'm just helping out the Pope versus Provence. And there we go, the Iberian wedding did finally happen in the proper way intended for the guide, and Castile does have Aragon as a junior partner. But as you can see, it's pretty much the same war like I just did. For your first stage ability, I recommend taking Justified Wars. The Pope did just peace out Milan, and he gave me the province of Parma, which I already had a claim on, which is pretty nice, although it did increase my aggressive expansion. Once you own 25 provinces in Italy, which I apparently do right now, you will be able to take the mission Win the Italian Wars, which gives you Merc Discipline plus 5% until the end of the game. Not bad. Once you do get this stuff down here, you're also going to want to build up your navy quite a lot. We are going to want to fight Tunis, of course, if they aren't allied to the Ottomans. If they are, oh well, it is what it is. You're going to be doing it later in the game. In my case, they aren't, and they have Fezzan as a vassal, although they have grown right here in Tlemcen. You will also want to tell your subjects to siege, and you're going to want to tell them to divert trade. For your second idea group as Naples, I recommend taking trade ideas. Listen, we're in Italy, we're going to own both all of Genoa and all of Venice and everything around it, and along with the merchants and all the bonuses we get to trade, we're going to be farming money like it's nothing. So trade ideas for your second idea group. With quantity and trade, you also get the Production Quota Act, which is plus 20% goods produced, the best modifier in the game, and paired with our initial national idea right here, Consolidate the Rural Domain, that's plus 30% goods produced in no time. So trade for your second idea group. And looks like I jinxed the fact that Tunis weren't allied to the Ottomans because they've just allied each other. If at any point in time an opportunity arose to enter the Balkans, either through one of these small guys over here or through Venice, then you should do that. And you should establish a foothold in the Balkans as well. I can't do it in my case since the Ottomans own this, and Ragusa here is guaranteed by the Ottomans and allied to France, and up here it's Austria-Hungary, my ally. So I'll be doing it later down the line. Now that a little bit of time has passed, I will be continuing my conquests versus the nations in Italy. Like I said, you can fight Genoa or guys over here, or alternatively, you could be fighting Tunis or guys in the Balkans. Those are pretty much your 4 possible expansion routes once you've entered northern Italy and Iberia. I'll be declaring on Genoa right here, since they're pretty much the only nation I can declare on. And I am going to declare for Genoa itself. Once you get the third merchant from trade ideas, I recommend putting him in Valencia. And once you defeat Genoa in your first war, you're either gonna take Corsica and Albenga or just the province of Genoa. Like I said, it's one province at a time over here in northern Italy. I'm also gonna take all their money. Once you get these two guys over in Iberia, you can give the nobility strong duchies if you want to. It's not really necessary. I am gonna give it to them just for the purposes of this guide. As Naples, like I said, you will be farming cash, and by this point we actually should have 2 monuments. So the Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence, which gives us prestige and splendor at tier 1, and the Royal Palace of Caserta, which gives us prestige and reform progress also at tier 1. The advisor discounts are really nice later down the line as Santa Maria del Fiore, so I do recommend you start building this one first. Once you dev Naples up to 30 and have 10 provinces with at least 10 dev, you'll be able to take this mission right here, develop Naples. It gives us gov reform progress. Super nice. And with that, I've been bumped up to a lot of reform progress, so for your tier 4 government reform, you should take meritocratic recruitment. And now it's time to continue my conquests over here in Italy. Once again, you might be declaring here, or here. I am gonna fight Ferrara, who is allied to Burgundy, but luckily France and the Pope will help me out, so I'll just declare for Arezzo right here, so we can finish off Tuscany. Once you have 20 galleys, you will be able to take the mission Neapolitan Navy, which gives you claims over here in this area. If you find a weak Mamluks, or maybe a nation that has popped out here, you can totally go for this area as well. You can notice that the Neapolitan mission tree takes us in a lot of different places and sort of preps us for forming the Roman Empire. Now that I broke off my alliance with Austria because the Ottomans declared on Hungary and, or actually no, the Ottomans declared on Albania and I didn't want to help Austria out, I can now leave the HRE because staying in the HRE is not good. So there we go. I'll just leave. You should of course do the same if you find yourself in a situation where you're not allied to Austria or if you don't need to conquer any more nations in Italy that are in the HRE. Luckily, I declared on Ferrara here on time. And there we go, my war with Ferrara here is pretty much done, and in this war with them I'm gonna take the province of Arezzo and one more province since we should be good here. I am gonna take Modena right here. No risk of coalition, we're good. I'm also gonna take all their money and more reps. And by around the 1490s, your game should look a little something like this. Basically, we started off as Naples and waited for Aragon to let us go through that event where their initial starting ruler dies, and after that, we built up the force limit to get this mission right here and to get claims in Tuscany, and then we continued on with our wars, either versus Aragon or one of the 3 nations that are located in Tuscany at the start of the game. And that's pretty much your early expansion routes, either Aragon or these guys up here. Of course, once you get 3 provinces in Tuscany, you will get more claims over here in Emilia-Romagna and Marche Abruzzo, and you will be able to spy on Genoa as well to manually make claims on them so you could push into Liguria as well. Of course, in your first war with Aragon, if you've gotten enough war score, you also have the island of Sardinia, and you've also gotten 2 subjects in Iberia, the nations of Valencia and Catalonia, which you can use to reconquer their cores in your second war versus Aragon. And by this point, Aragon is for sure a junior partner under Castile, and that is what is happening in my game right here. Of course, if you've been a little luckier with your alliance networks in your game, you may have already pushed into Tunis. As we can see, I built up a spy network over here on Tunis, but they did ally the Ottomans even though they weren't initially allied, so I haven't been able to declare on them. And some of you guys might own provinces over here in Tunis. Of course, you should add these provinces in Tunis to a trade company, and you should do the same thing in the Safi trade node. You won't suffer from religious disunity like that, and they will bring you a lot of money. And if you've had an opportunity, you may have also declared on some nations in the Balkans right here, and you may also own provinces over here. Maybe you've released Byzantium already, maybe you have them as a vassal, something like that, but pretty much you for sure own this stuff here owned by Aragon, and you for sure own a bunch of provinces in northern Italy, and you might own provinces in Tunis and in the Balkans. Like I said, that's just luck right here. By this point, we're a super powerful nation. You may already be on the great powers list in your game. I'm about 10 off from number 8 right here, but overall we're super strong, 370 dev. We own a bunch of rich provinces in northern Italy. All the centers of trade are up to level 2, and by this point, of course, since money is not a problem, you should have been building a ton of buildings. As we can see, I got quite a few marketplaces right here in my provinces, quite a few production buildings in the rich provinces. I built up some army buildings, some churches, of course, for that mission and stuff like that. And of course, you will continue to do the same. You can even build buildings in your subjects since you will get them later anyway. And like I said, you should tell your subjects to divert trade, and by now you should own a very sizable portion of the Genoa trade node. This is my income right now. I'm making quite a lot of money from trade. You may have advanced down further with trade ideas, and you may be making even more. As we can see, I'm making 14 ducats right now, but if I lower army maintenance and turn off forts, I'm making 21 ducats a month, and that's with level 2 advisors. So I'm running all 3 advisors are level 2, as you can see here in my case, which is super nice. Economy is not a problem. This is what my army is looking like right now, 2447. Let's see if that's right. Yeah, that's sort of about right. And these are my navies. I've got a 20 galley stack with a 10 transport stack attached, and I got a 10 light ships protecting trade in Genoa. Of course, you will be building more light ship fleets to protect trade in Genoa Valencia, Tunis, Venice, your initial expansion routes, and then later on in other trade nodes if you want to. And you will want to build up your main battle fleet, so to say, with a bunch of galleys and a couple of heavies as well. Like I said, the initial starting war with Aragon might be difficult, but with one of Castile, France, and Austria as allies, you will be able to do it. At this point right here, I'm only allied to France and the Pope. You may still be allied to Austria, or you may be allied to all of Castile, France, and Austria. It has happened a couple of times in my game that I've been able to ally all three of these guys, but just one out of either of these three is enough, like I said, and you will want to leave the Pope until later for when you conquer the rest of Italy, and you will want to keep him around as an ally until you're done with that, because it is good to stay allied to the Pope. And by the way, I do recommend staying Catholic as Naples. After this point, you're going to continue to expand in the same directions we've already been expanding, depending on what your goals are. You will also want to form the two Sicilies as well. Sicilian ideas are pretty good, even though they're pretty similar to Neapolitan ones. I do recommend Naples ideas slightly more if you're doing a tall playthrough, maybe owning all of Italy and surrounding areas and something like that, because they do have dev discounts, whereas the Sicilian ideas have minus 10% core creation cost, which is a little better for blobbing. And later, when you're going to form Italy as well, Italian ideas are also pretty good for blobbing with that minus 25% core creation cost and that manpower, but I do feel like Neapolitan ideas and Sicilian ideas are better for being very, very rich. So it's up to you whether you choose to keep Neapolitan ideas, keep Sicilian ideas, or go for Italian ideas. And like I said, we're going to continue to expand in the same directions we've already been expanding. You're going to continue to gobble up northern Italy slowly, taking one or two provinces at a time. You're going to retake these cores back from Aragon over here and then keep pushing into Iberia. When the time is right, you are going to want to open up a front in the Maghreb, in Tunis, and in the Balkans, and you're going to continue to push out in every single direction. Of course, once again, depending on what your goals are. For our first idea group as Naples, we went with quantity ideas. This is a good setup for Naples, the two Sicilies, and Italy as well. And for your second idea group, you should have taken trade. For your third idea group, I recommend taking offensive or quality, although I do prefer offensive slightly more. And after that, for your fourth idea group, depending on your goals, if you want to blob out real hard, you can go with admin ideas. If you're not blobbing that much, I recommend economic ideas. But after that, it's totally up to you. So quantity trade, offensive or quality, and then admin or economic. That should set you up for pretty much any scenario starting as Naples. This is what we took for our first 4 government reforms. For tier 5, you should take general estates, then swap to royal decree when absolutism comes around, but you can swap back to general estates if you max out over 100 absolutism. For tier 6, you should take l'état c'est moi, and for tier 7, you should take political absolutism, but once again, if you max out over 100 absolutism, you can totally go for legislative houses to get 4 admin policies instead of 3. Now, to turn our attention to monuments a little bit, we do have quite a few monuments in Italy, and we're going to be getting all of them. The one in Naples is pretty good. You will want to upgrade it. The one in Florence is super nice. This is the one you're going to want to focus on the most to maximize monarch point generation. St. Peter's Basilica is pretty good, once again, for playing tall, for the idea discounts and stuff like that, although it isn't that necessary. Then we have the Duomo di Milano in Milan, which isn't that good. You don't have to focus on upgrading it too heavily. We don't have lots of good global modifiers. And then we have the Doge's Palace in Venice, which is super nice, but these two in Venice and in Naples mostly focus on reform progress growth, which is pretty much better for republics, but they're all nice to have, and you can totally upgrade them whenever you want. And like I said, by around the 1490s, your realm should look a little something like this. If you're not that confident in your abilities, or if you're not sure if your game is gonna go like mine, this save file is available for all YouTube members in the Save Games Discord channel, and you can continue playing as Naples from this date forward. If you want to watch me do stuff like this live, you can follow me on twitch.tv/TheRedHawkLive, and if you want to catch up on stuff from over there, you can subscribe to the second channel, link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like, it really helps out a lot, and if you want to see more guides or more EU4 videos in general, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. And you can become a member today and join the Discord, the link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.